don't think he understood that I don't have brakes. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of a Holy Rust Revival. I'm Rob. This is Kip. You just had to get in there for the opening shot, didn't you? Oh my goodness. Hey, look, I don't know if you saw my last video, but I started work on this old parts car. It's a car that I bought for parts for that project over there. And honestly, I couldn't not try to get this motor running. And this is a 289. I think is the original engine of this car because the manufacture date is November of 66, which would stand to reason that that would be in a 67 model car. On the last video, I won't bore you with all the details, but we went from a engine that has been sitting for 20 years or better because of the tree that is sticking up out of the bumper to actually firing up. And we got it to fire. And I'll be honest, I kind of gave up last weekend. A lot of the things that I do have to be done on the weekend. And you might hear the term weekend warrior from time to time. And I just have to do stuff on the weekend. Once the week starts, it's over. My day job takes over. Other responsibilities take over. And I just have to do other things. You know, fella's busy. So if I can't fit it within the window of that weekend, it makes it difficult to continue on. I don't want to stretch these videos out too long either. However, I have been sleeping on this project. It feels kind of like you go somewhere and you take your dog and you lose your dog in that remote location and you don't want to leave. You know what I mean? You know the feeling I'm talking about? Which honestly, I kind of would almost, no, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I'd hate to lose my wonderful dog here. But I just kind of felt like I left my dog behind last weekend. Got it firing. I heard a knocking sound. That scared me a little bit. And I found out that there's a bad place on the flex plate. Maybe a couple of bad teeth where the starter has been grinded into it. And I knew it didn't sound like an engine knock. And I knew it sounded like it was in the bell housing. And sure enough, it was. And that's what it was. Oh, my goodness. It doesn't do this until I start talking. If I'm quiet in the shop working, I guess he thinks I'm talking to him. He just gets all excited when I start talking. Isn't that right, Kip? Okay, let me get my dog down. You deserve that. Okay, stay down there. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Let's give it another shot, okay? The weekend is young. And what I've done, I said I wasn't going to spend any money on this, and I haven't spent a lot. But there's some critical things that need to be done. Sit down. Sit. If you've never had a blue heeler, they're hyenas. Their little brains are just, they have attention deficit disorder is what they have. And I love them. I mean, I've had them for 40 years on this farm, probably more like 50 years. They were here before I was. And we've always loved blue heelers here. They're just good work dogs for a farm. Anyway, back to where we are. There's a local parts store in Marine, Mississippi that is shutting its doors for good. And a lot of stuff is 80% off, 80 to 90% off. And they're trying to get rid of all the inventory in that store. So I went in skeptical, thinking I wasn't going to be able to find stuff. But I found a custom set of plug wires, which is what I'm working on now. 8 spark plugs, fuel pump. What else did I get? Some carburetor cleaner, solenoid, starter solenoid. You remember on the last video, we were just arcing a starter wire to the battery, and that's not good. That's never good. Got all of that for less than 30 bucks. Can you believe that? The spark plugs themselves were about 80 cents a piece, which I couldn't believe. That's what they're supposed to cost. But the last time I purchased plugs, they weren't that. So anywho, I'm in the middle of putting new spark plugs in and putting custom plug wires in this system. But I need to get the camera and show you something, and the reason why I have brought this little idea back to try to get this motor started. I ran a compression check on the engine, and I want to get the camera and show you the data that I've come up with. Ran a compression check real quick, and I knew that I had one dead cylinder, and this is the one I was focusing on in the last video. And I knew that I had one or two others that were cold, and then some that were just smoking hot. And as you can see, the motor is very strong, 3 through 7, with our highest number being number 5 at 152. And cylinder 1 and 2 are a little bit weak, but honestly, at 80 and 90, they should be able to run. 8, that's not good at all. Definitely some stuck rings right there. And in the last video, I dumped a little oil in there, and it raised it up to 60 psi. So that oil was compensating for the slack in the rings. So that I just wonder if not cranking this engine, going through a heat cycle or two, might bring those rings back around. That is a big possibility. And I've been soaking those rings in Marvel Mystery Oil and acetone and transmission fluid over the past week. So, I don't know. It has potential, y'all. So I mentioned the custom plug wires. I have cut these to custom lengths and terminated them, but I haven't done this side yet. See these old nasty plug wires? You see that one's not even meant for an HEI distributor, and it's just little stuff like this that I believe was keeping our car or engine from running last weekend. There's the new solenoid, and it's working great, and I've got a little push button start now. So y'all give me a minute and let me finish this side of spark plugs. I don't want to bore you through all of that. You know how to put spark plugs in, and I think you know how to make a custom wire. I might make one with you. What do you think? Let me make a custom wire with you, and we'll see what we need to do to maybe fire this thing off again. So let's do one hole together, okay? When I say hole, all the way from putting a spark plug in to making a plug wire. Let's do one together. I need my glasses. Hold on. I have contacts in today, and I have to have readers when I wear contacts. Now, these are Autolite 45s, but they're platinum. Now, I know there's probably a lot of argument about whether you should use platinum or copper in an old carbureted car. I'm using platinum. Would you like to know why? Because they were 80-something cents a piece. That's why. And I've read with HEIs, it's okay. With advanced high performance ignition, these platinums are good. 40 is what I am gapping the plugs to. I've read you could go with the HEI anywhere from 40 to 42 to 44. Anyway, but I'm just doing 40 on mine. It's just a good round number. That's it. Oh my goodness, Kip. Let me stick the plug in the hole. I suppose you're going to come over here and help me do this, right? I really, really enjoy your help. What do you think you can do for me? Just bug me, lick me in the ear. That's what you can do. I guess, is that encouragement? Yeah, that plug's not wanting to thread real well. There it goes. There it started. Would you please? Y'all, I got a dog that loves me. Can you tell? He really loves me a lot. Yeah. Okay. That's 30 psi of torque. Really, it's just whatever the farm boy's arm could put in it at that moment. Okay, so I'm down to 3 wires, and they're extremely long because they are custom. They're all the same length, so it doesn't matter what I pick here. So I'll stick this end on the plug itself. This would be number 2, and that is this plug hole right here. This is number 2. Let's get rid of that old one. Basically, I'm just going to run the wire up till it looks aesthetically pleasing, and it looks to be the right length. I'm going to hold my finger there, pull the wire back off, and we're just going to cut that joker. Let's just cut it off. Okay. Now, MSD, which is the manufacturer of these plug wires, has this handy dandy little jig that actually presses the end on, but it also has the ability for you to measure exactly how far the wire needs to go in and cut it off. So you run it through that hole and run it till it's flush on this side, and then it's probably easier if you do this in a vise, but I'm showing you. You get it to where your razor blade is cutting the edge. Yeah, it's easier in a vise. Hold on just a second. Okay, I mounted the little plastic thing in the vise. I'm going to get my wire, stick it in the hole, and basically make it flush. Put my razor blade on top, and it's going to cut down into that rubber as I spin it, but it's not going to cut so deep that it's going to cut the core wire in the center. So let me just keep spinning it here. Okay. Can you see how it has cut? And sometimes you just have to come back and kind of round it one more time real lightly while it's outside of the jig. Then I should be able to pull that off. Yeah, let me give it another little convincing right here. There we go. That's going to pull now. There. Okay. So we basically cut through that sheath and that insulation, and we've got this wire left. So this is a single connecting end, and basically you just bend that wire over and set it in there and crimp it. Push it together with your fingers enough to where it will kind of sort of hold in place. And now at this point, this is one part of that little vise block. Turn it over to where the open end is facing that little ridge down inside there. Push it in. Got to make sure sometimes when you're pushing it in, the wire will get misplaced, and it has. Let me do that again. Never goes so smoothly when you're trying to show somebody something. Okay. That is placed like it should be. We get this piece. Basically, you just set this block to where it's sandwiching in. Then you set it back down in the vise. Close the vise till it kind of bottoms out, and it is compressing that fitting in there. You're going to be impressed with this when you see it. There you go. Now, doesn't that look perfect? It dug into that wire, it compressed the wire on the back side, and it made it look like a very professional end. So the next thing I am going to do, come on over here. Excuse us, Kip. You got to put the plug end on. And I'm going to get a little bit of dielectric grease is what this is. I'm just going to stick it up in this boot just so I can have a little bit of lubrication. Everybody needs a little lubrication. And then stick it in and just keep it rolling. I can tell it's getting a little harder to push the colder it gets. Did I tell y'all it was about freezing at this point? And it's supposed to get down into the 20s in Mississippi tonight. That last little push is a hard little push. But now, can you see it right down inside? I think you can. All right, so turn around. Come over here. And I think it was this one. This one is number 2. We're going to check the timing before I do all of this. We're going to get it back to top dead center and make sure we're lined up correctly. Okay, there's a custom plug wire. So the plug wires are in the correct firing order. The distributor is at top dead center. Okay. What else? Kit, please quit. Get down. Get down. We're going to have to work on that command. Get down. You just, I love you. It's aggravating. It's good to have a dog that loves you. Okay. I am going to put the positive wire, switch key wire from the distributor over in here on the battery. And I have got my little handy dandy little push button here. I have primed the carburetor with a little gas. Let's you and I see what happens. Are you ready? Got a bad ground over here. Let me shake it a little. Get down, get down. Get down. You're fixing to get fire. Let's give her a little gas. You fixing to get fire in your noggin is what's going to happen. Let me close the choke. Oh my goodness, y'all. Oh my goodness. I heard all 8 that time. Let's do it again. You're going to mess up. Get down. Get down. Get down. I'm sorry, y'all. Come on. Come on. Woohoo! Did you see that? Good thing my face wasn't right over the top. I think our timing is off just a hair. Woo, let me let me regain myself here a second. Kip, was a good thing you weren't standing up there, right? Okay, I've backed off on the timing just a little bit. And to do that, I just turned the distributor back just a little bit. Let's see what happens now. And I'm going to make sure not to put my face over that carburetor. Yay! Whoop, 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 whoop. That'll get you excited, Kip. I think we got it to run. I think we're getting close. More of those plug wires. Get down. It's exciting. I know. When I get excited, you get excited. Those plug wires and plugs made the world of difference. That's what was messing us up last time, I do believe. She's a runner. Let's see. That pipe is hot. That one's hot. That one's hot. That one is warm. I wonder how number 8 is on the other side. Let's see if it's getting any heat in it. Not much. That one's warm. That one's really warm. Ooh, that one's hot. Number 6 is really hot. But our dead cylinder back there, it's not. It's having a little hard time keeping up. I tell you, my fuel supply is very, very limited. And that's what's happening. We're cranking up good. I think if I could keep a constant supply of fuel in here, this car might run. I mean, she is thirsty. Got a runner. Okay, y'all, I took the valve covers off and checked all the valve clearances and everything is fine. Let's crank it up again and see if we can get it to run for an extended period of time. I found a few vacuum openings, holes. So I filled the bowl, put a little bit in the carburetor. Let's see if she'll fire off. The more she runs, the smoother it gets. And all this smoke coming up is basically the oil that's been on the header pipes down there. And I don't see any plug wires burning. So that doesn't seem to be a problem. Hey, but that ran good, didn't it? Let's check on our pipe over here that was cold. Oh, it's smoking. It's smoking. Oh, it's hot. It is hot. There's oil burning off of it. So our old cylinder might have come to life. I'm almost anxious to do another compression check on it a little bit later, but y'all know what? We might be at the point of a constant supply of fuel. What do you think? Instead of just filling the old bowl up and running it till it runs out. Got to think about the cooling system. That's another concern. Oh, and I'm hesitating putting stuff in there. First of all, it's going to be below freezing tonight. Secondly, I would be very discouraged if I poured water in there and I saw it pouring out of the bottom somewhere. Oh, I'd be so discouraged. So that's why I've hesitated on that one for a little bit. But y'all, I'm excited. I can sleep much better tonight knowing that this thing is actually a runner. All right, I don't know what to do next. I know I'm tired of Kip biting my foot back there. That healer, that blue healer, that's why they call them healers. They want to herd you, bite the back of your ankle. Hey folks, I've kind of run ahead of you a little bit and done a few things. Been busy for about an hour. Let me show you some things I've done. Actually, I put in a temperature gauge, put the sensor in here, ran the wire up to just something up there. I did put water in it, and it's not leaking anywhere. I don't see any seeping from freeze plugs on the side. Doesn't seem to be any cracks in the block. Of course, more of that will reveal itself when the engine actually gets hot, potentially. And I have plumbed the fuel system up. Put a fuel line, inlet line there, and an outlet line coming through into this gas can right here. Kind of wanted to get it out of this compartment because y'all seen fire, and I don't feel too comfortable having that jug in there just yet. So, I think I want to crank on it a little bit and see if we can suck fuel through the pump into the carburetor and see if we can get it to run a little bit longer than just to fill the bowls up. Let me put you on the tripod, and what we're going to be looking for is fuel sucking up into that fuel filter right there. That will be great to see. That'll let us know that fuel pump is working. All right, let me get my little... Did I tell y'all it's cold? It's freezing cold. Literally freezing at this point. Okay, y'all. It's running. She sure fired up good, didn't she? Okay. Fire in the hole. Well, okay. Okay. Man, those plug wires are going to get hot on those exhaust headers. I can already tell it. Whew. Boy, that's hot right there. Well, no doubt about it. These cylinders over here are working well. got some water leaking out of this top radiator hose. Maybe it's just not sealed well or something. I don't know. That's a sign that water's flowing. Okay. That stopped it. It just needed a little convincing, a little. Then had to put the Uncle Jed on it. Uncle Jed clamp it. Well, it's a good stopping place, y'all, for the night. It's pumping fuel. It's relatively idling. I can tell it's bumping a little bit, probably on this cylinder back here that's kind of weak. Yeah, but those headers are hot, man. Got something leaking on this bowl back here on the back side of this carburetor. Okay, good night. It's a morning or two later, actually December the 26th. Christmas is in the rearview mirror now, so to speak, and we had a great Christmas, and I hope you all did as well. Spent a lot of time with family and friends, and remembered the birth of our Savior. So, hey, it's kind of overcast today. It's supposed to be raining a little bit. Today is dedicated to farm maintenance. I've got to change oil in 2 tractors, 3 farm trucks, and several side-by-sides and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's what today is dedicated to. But I got to get this thing out of the shop. The engine is actually running great, but the transmission is starting to wake up. When I say wake up, remember I told you somebody, I think, just set this motor and transmission in there and didn't really hook anything up. Well, the transmission is beginning to bleed on the floor. I don't know if you can see it down there or not. There's a big puddle of transmission fluid on the floor from when I've been cranking the motor up and getting it timed and tuned just right. So I think what happened was they set the motor and trans in, and somebody began to put a transmission cooler. Do you see that aluminum thing on the front of the radiator there? That's a trans cooler that somebody was going to connect the transmission cooler lines to, but they never got around to it. So I'm underneath, and I've pulled off one of the lines for the transmission cooler, and I'm just going to basically loop this into the return line. This is the feed line, and I'm going to put this into the return line and just loop the transmission fluid as if it thought it was going through the cooler. This project is relatively easy, and also give you a little bit deeper look into how bad this car is. Y'all, have you ever seen anything so nasty? Anyway, the transmission cooler lines normally would be hard to get to, but in this case, it is not. I don't know if you can see the fitting. You see that fitting right there? So it would be really hard to get your hands up in here, but our floorboard is so rusted out that it has made a window for us. Yes, it has made a window. Y'all, there's no floor. I mean, it's all gone. It's terrible. And after I get this thing kind of sort of where it's mobile, I'm going to get in here and clean out and try to see just how bad this situation is. Here's a little shot of what I've done. Can you see the rubber hose? It's kind of hard for me to get down in here to show you. But I just looped one end of the hose to the other, and now it won't leak all over the floor. I don't like how close this header pipe is to that rubber line, but I tried to push it back up in there as far as I could so the heat won't get to it. Y'all, this car is rusted, so you're not supposed to be able to see. Laying on the ground, you're not supposed to be able to see your hood, but I can. Yes, I can. I'm one step from pushing this out of the shop so I can get other things done today. But I want to give you a little update on how she's running at this point. It runs great, and I put my switch key in. I'm going to crank it up for you, and I want you to listen for something. The more I'm topping my transmission fluid off, the more I'm hearing the rattling sound back here in the bell housing. And I'm afraid we're getting a little bit of pressure in the radiator, which could be signs of maybe a crack in the block or a bad head gasket. So let's crank it up just so you can hear. I think you'll be impressed with how far it has come. Here we go, fire the hole. It's almost like the flex plate is hitting the dust cover, is what it sounds like to me inside. But this is what is a little bit more concerning. Listen to this. I don't know if that's heat pressure or actual, water expanding. But see, that water in there is cold. It hasn't had time to, unless it's expanding in the block, okay? And it's seeping past the thermostat or coming back up through the pump. It's too soon to tell if that is an issue. Oh, I meant to show you oil pressure. We're coming up in temperature. Can you see that? 190. But I need to crank it again so you can see temperature. Hold your ears for just a second. Okay, I mean oil pressure. Hold your ears. Here we go. It's stone cold. She's holding about 45. And as it's warming up, it's holding about 20 PSI. And I would be happy with that. I would be completely happy if that were to remain to be the case after this thing gets worked on a little more. Okay, y'all, I've got to work on farm stuff, all right? Let's put this to the side. I'll keep on until we get to the point where maybe we can make this thing move. Okay, y'all, I let her run a little bit just to see if by chance the thermostat would open up and get the flowing. No. It's just now getting hot, and I'm up to, not terribly hot, but it's a little warm. I mean, I'm up to, what is that, 215? Anyway, it got to a boiling over point in there. And I think we have an issue with the thermostat. I mean, it's been sitting for 20 years. How would you expect that thermostat to work? I think that's one of the next things I need to look at, is just pull that open and see what's going on in there. The hot water has finally made its way to the radiator. And I think what's happening is that thermostat is stuck maybe in between, because it is gushing out. See if you can hear it. It's getting by the thermostat a little bit, okay? So finally the radiator has warmed up for the very first time. I keep hearing a sound back here. Somewhere there is a coolant leak or a water jacket leak. See if I can get my light cut on. There we go. I hear something back here. It's almost like it's a head gasket issue. I don't know, can y'all tell where that's coming from? You hear it, don't you? Could be intake gasket. Nope. Okay, I feel it, y'all. Y'all hear it changing sounds? Let me see if I can get you back in here. I think it's a freeze plug. Okay, you can't see back in there really well. Let me try one more time. You see that little circle? That is a freeze plug that is making that noise. Because when I stick my hand back in there, that's what it is. Maybe a little rusty freeze plug, letting off a little pressure. That's not something to worry about too bad. Okay, cool off. Let me get some farm stuff done and we'll come back. Items on the farm, and I have been mechanicking all day. I look nasty. I hate to even show myself to you, and I'm tired. But I have done a little bit on the car, and I need to catch you up to speed on what we've done. I think I showed you I put gauges on. Yes, and I've zip tied them to the dash there. I have also put a shifter in. I borrowed the shifter out of this car. That's the beauty of working on 267s. You can borrow things. So just for the brief moment, I have put a shifter in, and yes, I put it in reverse, and it wanted to take off out of the shop. I've got no brakes. I don't have an accelerator pedal. I did find this old steering wheel, put it on there. I have wired up a ignition switch. Basically, it's a headlight switch that is going to serve the purpose of our ignition. And I put it in the hole. That's not really the radio hole. I think that's where the air conditioning ducts come out for an air-conditioned car. Let's see, what else have I done that I can share with you? I put a thermostat in. The thermostat was sticking. It just wasn't flowing like it should. I think it was kind of half stuck. Now the engine runs at a very cool 160 degrees. I let it go through 2 different heat cycles, and it is cooling nicely, even though the radiator has a couple of holes in it. It has some issues up in that area, but we're not too concerned about that at this moment. I did clean it out. I would like to say it looks better. I mean, it does look better than all the trash that was in it. But these floor pans, I mean, that one's non-existent. This one is, we'll say it's 75% there. Not too bad on the driver's side. Somebody has replaced these floorboards in the past. You can tell where there's welding that has happened over here. And I think these are new seat pans, actually. Not new, but newer than the rest of the car. Hey, let me show you something I found. You know, I was estimating this car having sat up for 20 years, mainly because I was going by the growth of that tree. But as I was cleaning the junk out, I found a license plate. And it's 02. So that would, if it went down, and this was the last tag, that would be, what, 22 years? So that estimation, I think, is pretty accurate based on the growth of that tree. So probably got put down about the turn of the millennium there, and she's been resting for a long time. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I'm tired. Going to bed. It's been a hard day, long day. And I'm just frankly tired of mechanicking today. I'm just about so sick of it, I can't stand it. But I'm excited about this. Hey, it's a couple of days later. I don't even know what day it is anymore. If I haven't told y'all, I'm a public educator. And we're out on Christmas break right now for 2 weeks. And been tinkering just an hour here and there on the old Mustang. That's why you might see different clothes on me, maybe a different hat, different look, different times of the day. Hey, y'all. We might do some burnouts tomorrow. What do you think? Do you like that idea? Oh, I've got a few things I've done. Let me turn the camera around and just kind of get you up to date on where we are with the old Mustang. So I put the fender on, and I just have about 2 or 3 bolts in it. But that was the fender that was on that car. And I wanted to show you this because that fender is the reason I bought this car. That's what was on here, okay? As you can see, it's a much better fender, and that fender is really just nearly about beyond repair. I mean, it's crashed in. It's got a very serious creased dent right here that would be very difficult to ever get out and look good again. So my main reason for putting that on is I wanted to get it out of the way in my shop. It just freed up a whole lot of space, so that's good. All right, under the hood, what have we done? Let's see. I wired up an ignition switch. Did I show y'all that? I think I did. It's a headlight switch. And I mounted, zip-tied a set of gauges on there. And of course, that's our ignition kill switch. I put a seat in it from the other car over there. It doesn't look too bad, does it? I mean, it could clean up and be used in a bind, but I do plan on recovering those seats in the future. Shifter, that works. Steering wheel, that kind of works. The column isn't necessarily all there, but look, we're not going to be getting down on it. I think it's ready, y'all. I really do. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because we're going to burn some dry rotted tires off. Right, Kip? Kip's been sitting in the driver's seat ready to go ever since I said load up. Hey, load up, load up, load up. He knows what load up means. Look at that tail. He's trying to decide what to load up in. Right here, load up in there. Hey y'all, the sun is about to go down and I'm just dying to give it a shot. Let's try, okay? Remember, I don't have any brakes. I don't have a windshield. I don't have a back glass. I don't have a floorboard. I don't have a lot of things, okay? But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to pull this thing out of the shop because there's a hill right behind me. I'm going to push it out, get it cranked, put it in gear, and take off, and let's see what happens. All right? Cross your fingers. Here goes nothing. Here's a 67 Ford Mustang that has not moved in 20 years under its own power. And we're about to send it. It has no floorboards, so the exhaust headers are cut off right at my feet. So I've got to wear hearing protection. I ran it a little bit last night without hearing protection, and my ears were ringing after it was over. So I've got to take care of my ears. Like I said, we've got no brakes, so I'm gonna have to turn you on and then get over there somewhere, and I'll come back and get you, okay? Because I can't stop. I can't stop for you. So here we go. Here goes nothing. We might make it 10 feet. We might make it a mile. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Y'all, I got so excited I forgot I didn't have brakes, but made it to the end of the driveway, and I just kind of barreled off into this pasture here. And this is the reason I was wanting to be here, because we've got a wide open space right here and we can just have some fun with it. So I'm gonna get in, and by the way, we just had a bad rain, heavy rain the last couple of days. I hope I don't get stuck somewhere out in here, but I'm gonna play between here and that tree, and let's just see what happens, okay? Oh, did I tell you the door won't latch? And I'm getting antifreeze on my glasses. I think the radiator has a big hole in it, and there's a freeze plug on the back that's oozing water out. So that might get a little more interesting the hotter it gets. So let's let it rip, Tater Chip. Let's see what happens. Okay, Kip, you might better sit this one out. You can follow me around though. All right, fire in the hole. Well, y'all, she shut down like somebody just cut the switch key off. I think I've got a bad connection on the distributor, because I can move the wire a little bit and get her to fire. But yeah, she just shut down. Let's see if I can get this wiggled up in here a little bit better. Oh, come on. I don't have a tool on me out here in the middle of the pasture. I am what you would call unprepared.
Did I tell you the exhaust was coming out in the floorboard? Can't stay in there very long, but good thing it doesn't have a windshield or a back glass. And even with earmuffs on, my ears are still ringing. And Kip's trying to herd the car. Y'all know he's a blue heeler, and he was trying to herd it. Did y'all see that? I thought I was going to run over him because I don't have brakes. You got to stay out of the way, son, in dangerous situations. Okay, the engine temp is beginning to come up. Oil pressure is holding at 40, so we're doing good there. Let me attach you to the roof and let you go for a ride. How would you like that? I know you would. Well, I think it's safe to say the bugs are not worked out of it yet. Carburetor's flooding a little bit. It does okay at wide open throttle. But you know what? I put a 160-degree thermostat in it, and the motor is running a cool 160 degrees. So that's fine. Oil pressure is remaining at about 40 PSI, and it's really just gone through its first heat cycle. So, hey, let me put you in another spot and take you for a ride in a different view. How about that? This time, I think I really am out of gas. I just had a gallon jug tied to the front with some gas in it, and it's empty. Let me go get some gas. I don't think he understood that I don't have brakes. Okay. Let me come get you. Well, she drove back to the shop. I guess we could say that was a successful day. We left the shop and we drove back to the shop. And in the process, probably put 2 miles on it with all the, running around in the pasture. I don't know, but it's 2 more miles than this car has driven in over 20 years. And how do I know? Let me remind you. Let me remind you. And yes, we kept the stump. It seemed to have held in there pretty well. So what did we learn here? Look, revival, okay? The car revived. It moved again under its own power. I do know for a fact I hit second gear, and I think I hit third gear. It's really hard to tell when the loud exhaust is in your ears and you're running through a pasture and you don't have a windshield, and just everything's coming at you all there at one time. But I know I hit second. I felt that one, and maybe we hit third. The engine did not overheat. It ran 160 degrees. Oil pressure at the hottest temperature of the engine stayed around 20 to 25. That's even at idle. Now, speaking of idle, that carburetor has issues. It's not doing well. I basically just took it apart and cleaned it, and I didn't rebuild any of the parts in it. I'm sure there's some adjustments that need to be made there. The pump is bad in it. I'm just surprised that we did what we did, to be honest with you. What else can I tell you? I think that's it. The sun's going down on the day, and the old Mustang rode another mile. So what's next? I don't know. But we learned a lot about this engine and this transmission. I don't know. I really honestly can't tell you what's next for this car. Now, my youngest son's got his eyes on that motor for his Mustang. It's a 67 also. Remember, this thing is so rotten. It can be brought back, but it's going to take somebody a whole lot of work to make that happen. It felt pretty solid. My front end alignment. Remember, I did that in the video. It might have been my last video. I did that. I just basically welded the strut arms. Not welded, but welded the washers on there. And boy, when I showered down on it, that front end was doing that number right there. So I really couldn't do a good burnout, and I was scared that I was going to run past where I needed to go. So, but anyway, she ran and lives another day to talk about it. Hey, y'all. Thank you for watching this episode of A Holy Rust Revival. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing what the next project is. What's on the horizon? Well, I'm building a barn dominium. You probably saw it in some of the shots up there, and that's going to keep a guy busy for a week or 2 or 3 getting it closed in. So until next time, God bless.